The original World of Warcraft was released on November 23, 2004. Like Warcraft 3, the game had standard and collector's editions. The 2004 Collector's Edition still is extremely valuable. It included a lot of perks inside. The in-game perk is one of 3 unique pets. Currently, each of them is extremely rare. Another perk was the Behind the Scenes DVD. It was an exclusive DVD featuring game trailers and developer commentary. The most interesting part, even from a modern perspective, was the Extra Features section. This is one of the videos from the Extra Features section. With improved audio and video quality, also, subtitles in multiple languages are available. Please use the CC button to enable them. If you enjoy this video, please consider supporting Clever Play channel with a like, comment, share, or even a cup of coffee. Behind the Scenes Part 12. Cinematic Intro. Show and Tell.
I'm Matt Samia, the director of the World of Warcraft cinematic intro. What we have right here for you is a little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff. This is stuff that we generally don't release, but this time we just thought it might be kind of cool to show some of the pieces that go into making the finished product. So these are showing off some of the things that we found to be pretty challenging. We had to come up with a whole new way of doing hair because of the dwarf and his crazy beard and braids and all that stuff. And this is showing off some dynamic simulations on the bear fur. We were doing more dynamic simulations, I think, on this show than we had ever done in the past. Every bit of cloth, every bit of fur and hair, and every little dangly thing that was hanging off a character wound up having a simulation and was moving around. You can see even his earrings are moving a bit. We were delving into some new shaders for skin. We think we're getting a little bit better with that. We like the way this dwarf turned out pretty well. These shots were pretty huge and full of all kinds of effects. These characters were probably some of the most complex we'd ever done, which is kind of ironic considering we designed them to be simple, and we were thinking these were not going to be so difficult to get on screen. It's just sort of the nature of these characters. We really couldn't get around the fact that they are just covered in all kinds of baubles and little things and weapons and what have you. This is showing some of the stages of a set in progress. This is one of the Night Elf shots from Teldrassil. Here we get a little look at how things work, how they're worked up. These are some of the passes on the Night Elf, showing her animation, and now these are some of the dynamic sims actually being run. You can see how many there are. This is actually cutting out quite a few, in fact. But these are previews of some of them. This is including her hair sim, and then of course with shading and lighting and compositing and all that sort of magic, we get the actual shot. This panther was a real challenge, trying to make a cat move like a real cat. That was something else. You can see his tail, or probably her tail, swirling around there. That's something that we got off footage of an actual panther making this jump. And it turns out a lot of people thought it looked wrong, but it was kind of funny because it was absolutely correct. So we had there's a lot of debate about whether or not we should take that out, even though it was correct in quotes. So this is showing some of the different stages. The level of detail that we were building into these characters this time was really quite high. We were doing things like even building the folds into their clothing. Even though they were going to be simulated afterwards, we found that we were getting much better results by actually modeling the folds in, doing some range of motion tests on his face to see what kind of expressions we can get away with. Again, showing off a shot and how we work them up. This is some of the early animation. Now that we're happy with the animation, you can see we're running the sims on all his layers of clothing and his different layers of jewelry and what have you. And what we finally came up with, again, with all the magic added, etc., we rebuilt our orc to be much more like the orc in the game, and just overall bulkier and scarier and cooler. We were really playing with the idea of how to get his muscles to move around, and we finally settled on using an approach that they used in the Hulk film, which was we made morph targets for different flexes, basically, and brought them in and out depending on what he was doing. If you look carefully, as we get these different versions, you can start to see the flexing going on. Pretty subtle, but it's there, I promise. And again, finished shot with all the crazy simulations. This is our Tauren. We're pretty proud of this Tauren. We think he's pretty cool. Again, we pretty much rebuilt the Tauren from the last trailer to match more closely the guy in the game. The game art had evolved between the time we did the last one and this one. It's more of the kinds of tests that we do to make sure that everything is working and that we have enough range of expression for his face. And here he is being angry and violent. Again, a shot in progress showing the kinds of things that we get maybe halfway along, where some of the characters are fully shaded and some of them aren't, and we're working up the composite. This was our undead guy. We tried all kinds of things to make him icky and rotting and kind of nasty, and boy, he sure is. He's pretty cool, actually. It's kind of a shame you don't really get to see his eyes too well in the finished shot, because we put some thought and effort into making those eyes look kind of shriveled like old grapes. They're pretty cool. Here he is, animated. These are showing off some of the things that we did for the ground. We were actually playing with the idea of having the plants die off when he takes a step, and they actually do if you look in the shot. Again, it's pretty subtle. There are a lot of things going on in these shots. All the layers of Sims. He has some spit hanging off of his lower lip, and that's in there too. This is showing off some of the tests we did for that. In some ways inspired by the alien. If you look closely in the finished shot, you will see that he does, in fact, have some spit hanging there. You gotta look closely, but it's in there.
If you enjoy this video, please consider supporting Clever Play channel by liking, commenting, sharing, or even buying us a cup of coffee.